In simple terms, it means now your trial balance does not balance. The debit and the credit has different figure. Alright? So when you see this, you will know immediately, oh, there must be an error. Am I right? Okay, so let's go back to where we have learned the trial balance the other day. Where is it? Around here. Alright, still remember this trial balance. Alright, by right, the debit and credit, they should be equal. Right? Okay, now I'm going to take this as my example. Now, of course, here when you look at this debit and credit of your trial balance, they are equal, right? 27310. Now, I will use red color. Okay, what if my trial balance is not balanced? So I have a debit here, I have a credit here, right? Now, say for example, now when I calculated everything, right? My debit now is 25310, credit is 27310. It indicates that your trial balance is not balanced. Am I right? Which side is more? Credit. Debit is lesser. Alright? Now you look at the second point in your notes. They say, if you find that your trial balance is not balanced, what account you have to open? Suspense account. A temporary suspense account has to be opened. Now, so in my trial balance, I'm going to put a suspense account. They are not balanced by the amount of how much? 2,000. Okay, let me ask you. Should I put 2,000 here or 2,000 here to make them balance? Debit, right? Okay, so I take this away. If I know that my debit and credit is not balanced, I will have to put my 2,000 at debit side. Once I put my debit 2,000 here, now this 25 will become 27. So my trial balance now balance. Right? That means my trial balance will always balance. Because when it is not balanced, I book a suspense account. Alright, so suspense account is like a magic account. Temporary to make you happy. Tak balance ke tak apa, bukan suspense saja. Okay, mesti balance. Alright, now, if let's say your credit is more, your debit is lesser, the differences of 2,000 will be stated at the debit side. Am I right? Okay, now, what if this is the situation? My debit is more than my credit. How much is the differences? 3,000. Now you tell me, where should I put my 3,000? Credit. When I put 3,000 at the credit side, it balances, right? Okay, now, so I put the 3,000. And my credit side now will increase to 30310. Correct? Okay, meaning your suspense account is not fixed on the debit or the credit balance. Whether your suspense account is credit or debit, it depends on the total that you have here. Alright, what indication that you can make, what conclusion can you make from the two illustrations just now? Is that if your credit is lesser than your debit, credit lesser, right? Your suspense account will have a credit balance. In the first illustration, when your debit is lesser, 25, 27 here, your balance of your suspense account will go to the debit side. Alright, this concept is very important. It's because before you start to do your suspense account, you have to make sure that when you open your suspense account, right, the 3K is here, not here. If you put it wrongly, the whole workings will be wrong. Alright, so this is a very important starting point. Okay, so you have to keep this in mind. In order for you to determine debit ke credit my suspense account, what do you see? The total of your trial balance. And whichever is lower, you letaklah the suspense account balance there. Faham? Okay, yeah? Okay. Now, we'll go back to the previous page just now. 50. Alright, now. So the suspense account is open so that I can put the difference of the trial balance in the suspense account, right? Just that you have to remember, even though I open a suspense account, my suspense account is only a temporary suspense account, right? Why temporary? Because suspense account opens because you know there's an error. You cannot leave your error there forever as error. Your job is to find out how to get rid of the error. You have to make the correction of error. Once your error has been corrected, this suspense account will be closed. Akan tutup. That's why your suspense account is called as a temporary account. Now, in our accounting, we will open our suspense account when your trial balance does not balance. Macam tadi, trial balance, debit, credit, tak balance. Now, the second situation is like this. The bookkeeper, he knows where to post the debit, but do not know where to post the credit, or vice versa. Okay, what does this mean? For example, you receive money, 5,000. Where to debit? Debit bank lah, right? Siapa pun tahu, debit bank. So you debit bank. Lepas tu dia credit mana? Sometimes dia tak tahu because lack of information. This 5,000 from who? Pay for what? I received this money from who? Okay, what is the purpose of this payment? Dia tak tahu. So I debit bank, but I do not know where to credit. Is it credit sales? Credit rental income ke? Credit commission income ke? Tak tahu. Alright. So in that case, I'm going to debit first in my bank account and credit temporarily to my suspense account. Like that lah. Alright. So this is where we use suspense account to temporarily park the unknown account to, right? But the next day or the next 2 days, you may have to ask around. Okay, so this payment yang kita receive ni dari siapa? You may have to discuss with your colleague or maybe your superior or manager to find out what is actually the payment received for, right? Once you know it, you have to make sure you put it under the correct account, right? Because suspense account tu temporary only, right? Account sementara sahaja. Now, there are two purposes of us keeping the suspense account. First is because we know there's an error, but I cannot solve it now. But it is already 5 p.m. So I need to leave. I need to leave my office. Okay, so in order for me to not forgetting tomorrow, I will put the suspense account lah. Because once I see suspense account, I know, oh, this one got error. I haven't solved it yet. Alright, so it is for me as a reminder that there's an error. Please correct it. Okay, this is reminder to tell you there's an error. First purpose. Second purpose, to make you happy. To make your trial balance. Okay, so people ask, account balance tak? Balance, always balance. Sebab you ada suspense account. Right, but of course, you have to quickly find lah. Okay, what is the differences? Okay, so you investigate. While we are investigating, at least your trial balance is balanced lah. Alright, but it's not the real balance. Okay, it's just temporary only. Okay, so once you have investigate and you find out what is the error and you make correction of error, then the suspense account can be closed. Because suspense account is only open until the point of time that you sort out the problem. Lepas tu you can tutup. Okay, right, that's for suspense account. Now, so you will only use suspense account plus the journal when the trial balance does not balance. Just now, when we learned the first type of error, right? Error which your trial balance is still balanced. Do you see suspense account there? You don't see, right? Why? Because your debit and credit is balanced. You don't need to open suspense account, right? But now, your debit credit tak balance, so you need suspense account. This is what I say. You need to know the type of the error. Then you determine, should I use journal only or should I use journal plus suspense? Okay, right. So the next example here are telling you this error lah. All this error will cause your trial balance to be imbalanced. Debit and credit, they tak balance. Now, I want you to remember the point that I mentioned just now. Where should my suspense account balance be? Let's read this. Read the first sentence. Read the first sentence carefully. What does the question say? Credit more than debit. Which one is more? Credit. Which is lesser? Debit. So when you open your suspense account, which way you choose? Should have a debit balance or credit balance? Debit. I always choose this. Alright. So if debit is lesser, your suspense account will have a debit balance. How much is the debit balance? Yeah, 680. Right, 680. So if you scroll down, can you see suspense account there? You're going to put here debit. Why debit? Because debit is lesser. You book out T account, you put there suspense account. Then you put here 680. Here you're going to put trial balance. Why you have opened the suspense account is because your trial balance not balanced, right? Okay, so put here trial balance 680. Now, if your credit is lesser, then this 680 will change to the credit side. Okay, dia ikut yang mana lebih kecil. So now the lesser figure is debit. So your suspense account has a debit balance. Make sure you get this right at the first place. Okay, right. After you got this, then you can continue, all right, with the rest of the story. Now, he cannot immediately discover the reason. That's why he opened a suspense account, right? A suspense account is opened up with a debit balance of 680. Why debit? Because my trial balance has a smaller or lesser debit balance. All right. Subsequently, the bookkeeper found that there are 3 errors. Number 1, 2, and 3. Let's go through these 3 errors together. The first one, they are transposition error made in sales account. Instead of entering 7453, 7543 was entered. Entered to where? Sales account. Okay, what is the differences? 90. Okay, let me ask you. Your sales account now is understated or overstated? Overstated. By right dia 74 tau. Tapi you masuk as 75. Terlalu tinggi. Overstated. So sales is overstated by 90. Okay. Is your trade receivables account okay? Yes, they told you trade receivables account were posted correctly. So the transposition error only happened in how many accounts? 1. Because of that, your trial balance will be not balanced. They won't be balanced. Okay. Sales terlalu tinggi. How to reduce sales? Debit. You have to debit sales. Suspense, yes, correct. But you have to reduce the sales first. So you go to the sales account, you debit. Debit means you reduce the sales by 90 because sales is overstated kan. Since the sales is overstated, you reduce it by 90. Debit sales. Tapi saya tak boleh credit trade payables. Sebab trade payables dah betul. So I have to credit to a special account called suspense account. When there's no place to credit, you credit to suspense account 90. Alright. Now, you're going to complete everything, then you transfer to suspense. Okay, we complete all the journals. Now, then you put narrative. Sales are overstated by 90. That's why I reduce sales by 90. Okay, explain a little bit. Now, for your information, the narrative is not fixed. Alright, tak ada pun fixed format. As long as you can make the user understand what you are doing, then it is good enough. Okay, right. Number 2, monthly salary 1050. Correctly entered in the bank account, but the other half of the double entry was not made. Now, this is error of omission, but the omission doesn't happen for the whole transaction, only for one entry. Dia masuk separuh, the other half tak masuk. Right? Now, monthly salary for you, it is an expenses. Sebab you bayar salary. Dia kata, they already enter correctly in the bank account. Do you think they debit or credit bank account? Credit, because it is an outflow, you're paying, right? So credit bank account, is this okay? Yeah. Yes, because they say correctly entered. What is not entered is the other half, yeah, which is the debit salary, right? 1050. So you have to go to this account here. You debit to the salary account 1050. I cannot credit bank anymore because I have done that correctly. So I will go to my suspense account 1050. So you can put there only one side of double entry were made, or you can put error of omission, single entry were made. Okay, any description is okay. All right, number 3, a customer paid 230 and was recorded in the bank account, correctly recorded in the bank account. Now, let me ask you, customer pay you, debit bank or credit bank? Debit bank, confirm? Yes, okay, debit bank. Because customer pay, so debit bank. They say correctly, so this one correct. Debit bank. Okay, so by right, when customer pay you, you debit bank. Where do you credit? Trade receivables. Okay, read the next sentence. However, it was debited to the trade, this is trade receivables account. What's wrong with this? This one. How come debit? When I receive money, I should debit bank and credit, right? Trade receivable. So this one salah. By right, I should credit. Alright. Now, again, when something that you should credit, you go and debit them. Or something supposed to be a debit entry, you go and credit them. This type of error, again, when you correct this type of error, you will have to twice the amount, double the amount. Okay, it's about salah side, okay, opposite side. You will have to twice the amount. Because why? See, by right, I want it to be here, 230, for example. All right, for example, like you want it to be on the credit side. Now you put it here, wrongly debited. All right, if I want to correct this error, I have to go to the credit side. I put 230 here, but this account will become 0. I need to have a credit 230. So instead of only crediting one time, I have to credit 2 times. Right, so that after I have eliminated the wrong entry, I still have a credit 230 on my credit side. So this correction of error is credit 460, right, instead of 230. Right, where should I credit this 460 to? Trade receivables. How about the debit entry? Suspense. Okay, suspense account, you follow the figure 460. All right, so you go to credit, trade receivables, double the amount. 460, and you put suspense as your correspondence account. Okay, so I make a note here. The first 230, to cancel the wrong entry. Next 230 to record the correct entry. Right, once done, you are going to transfer the 3 figure to your suspense account. The first one, credit suspend 90. Right, so you follow me if you're doing it for the first time. You go to the credit side of suspense account because they say credit suspense. You put here 90. All right, what is the correspondence account here? Sales. You can put suspense, right? Already suspense here. So it will be sales figure here. You put sales 90. Why credit? Because you say credit suspense. All right, so you go to the credit side, put 90, and you put sales. Secondly, still credit suspense, but now it is salary. So you go to suspense account, you put here 1050, and this will be your salary. Lastly, it is a debit. Debit 460, and it is a trade receivable. So I put here 460. The name of my account is trade receivables. Alright, I have corrected all 3 errors here. And let's sum up my suspense account. Both sides are now equal, right? 1140. So now your suspense account got no more balance. In other words, you can close your suspense account. It is only a temporary account. You understand? Yes? Okay, now, so far what we have done is, all the errors now, you can see suspense account entry. Right? Semua ada suspense account. The first one, credit, suspense. The second one, credit, suspense. The third one, debit, suspense. Right? But in many times, it wouldn't be only one type of errors. Right? For example, when we go to this exercise at the back, the question at the back, the errors that we gave you here is a mixture. Some, you need suspense account. Some, you don't need suspense account. Campur, right? Campur. Alright, so let's go to the question at the back. Max.